Alright, hey guys. So this is going to be day 2 of replacing all of the water lines in my house. So this is new knowledge to me, and this is like what I've talked about before. Is part of the value that I saw in the purchase of this house for me was the new information and skills that I was going to learn throughout the repairs and renovations on this property. So my house was almost entirely plumbed with polybutylene. I think that's how it's pronounced, plumbing, this old gray stuff. Some people in my comments on my last video were the ones that told me about the name of it, and then I looked it up and did a little bit of research, found out just how bad this stuff actually is. I mean, I discovered for myself how bad it is with just a random water line bust, not even during freezing temperatures or anything, just broke on its own while I wasn't even home. So this stuff was apparently really popular in I think the 70s to like the mid 90s, and there's been some lawsuits against the company, I guess, that produced it originally. So it feels really flexible when you're just feeling it, but it apparently becomes very brittle over time, which I did notice that when I was when I was demoing my bathroom. If any of you guys have been watching long enough and remember, when I was demoing my bathroom, there was that part in one of the videos where I just touched one of these and the connection broke and it started spraying water before I had turned the water off. And I thought that was pretty strange that there was plumbing that was that fragile, but I thought maybe it had just been previously cracked or something. So now that I've discovered all of this, I just decided it's not worth it to have any of that in the house. There's not that much of it to replace. So I got started yesterday on replacing all of the cold water lines. I got them all replaced yesterday, and I didn't record, and now I wish I did, because I wasn't that confident in it. This isn't something I'm extremely familiar with doing, but I talked to that plumber when he was out here the other day, and I talked about getting a price on having all of it replaced with PEX, and he was like, dude, honestly, he was looking at all the stuff I've been doing around the house on my own. He was like, you definitely could do this on your own. Like, PEX is really not hard to run yourself, and we can double check it whenever we come back to do the drains and make sure everything looks good. So I got started on it yesterday. So far, he's right. Everything that I replaced yesterday was actually a lot easier than I was expecting. So I'm not using push-to-connect fittings. I know people heard even just this. I use the push-to-connect caps. Not educated enough to ramble about push-to-connect fittings. I am crimping all of the stuff that I'm doing. I've got the crimping tool and the copper rings, and I'm using all new PEX. But today, I'm going to get started on replacing the hot side of everything. But I am going to replace the hot water to the washer and the kitchen sink. And I haven't ran the cold water supply all the way into the bathroom yet. I've got it in the floor of the bedroom. I'm going to cut a little bit more of the floor, splice in a piece, put in an elbow, and stub up into the bathroom wall. That way they're going to have cold water right there in the wall to tie into. And so also today, while I'm messing with all this, I decided now is a fine time to go ahead and replace my kitchen faucet. I hate the faucet that's in there. It's super cheap, and I don't like that it's the individual handles. It's annoying to try to get the hot and cold. It wouldn't annoy me if I wasn't using the sink for my shower water, but it's really hard to get the temperature just right with the 2 individual dials. So I got one that's just the regular single that you just turn left and right, and I got a faucet that has a hose with the sprayer on it, because washing dishes with just the faucet is pretty annoying. Not being able to pick that up and spray out, cups and bottles and spray. So I'm going to swap that out. Yeah, I'm ready to go ahead and get back into it. I think what I'm going to start with is running that water line, the cold water line, the rest of the way into the bathroom. This is the inside of the bathroom. This is the doorway into the bedroom. I've got that PEX line sticking out into the bedroom right now. And the way that the house is framed on this side is pretty strange. So I'm not exactly sure if this is like a typical rim joist. I think that it is. But I'm going to see if I can paddle bit through this if I'm looking into the crawl space. And if I am, I'm going to just stab that PEX through and just stub up right here. But I kind of don't know. This is going to be an exploratory hole. like that is into the crawl space. I'm just not all the way through it yet. Oh, I know what I hit. It's the body of the impact is hitting this. Okay, that is the crawl space. I'm looking at a floor joist. Working that PEX through here is probably going to be hard, but what I probably will do is stab new PEX in right here and see if I can push it to where I can grab it from that hole on the other side, make a connection, and then just have this in here rather than trying to push this through. But let me see if it is possible to see this from right there. Yes, I did buy the coil of PEX. Controversial to some, I think. Honestly, hasn't been too much of an issue for me. The only problem I've had with it is this type of situation when you're trying to push it through a hole and make it stay straight to where you need it to go. It does become a little bit annoying because it seems like every time it wants to bend the wrong direction. Surely I can find that on the other side. Alright, I apologize for the dark. Well, look at that. I can already see it. Look how perfect that worked out. And it pushed through directly into the hole. So here's the other end of that. Here's my new line. The one that's capped. Just gotta do a butt connection right here. I gotta turn the water back off because this is a pressurized line right here. Connect it, and then I've got water in the bathroom. I am probably going to cut this one at that rim joist and put an elbow there. That way it's not curving inside the wall. But cool, that worked out really good. So that means I don't need to cut any more of the bedroom floor out. I just got to figure out a way to patch this. Okay, so I'm going to cut this here. Attach an elbow to put it straight up the wall. And then I'll just connect a long piece to it so that the plumbers can just cut it wherever they want to tie into for the rest of the bathroom. This cutter is very interesting to me. It's just a razor blade. I do kind of wish I had spent the extra like 10 bucks for the better one though. Yeah, because that I've been ending up having to cut this twice almost every time because I need like a more controlled situation. Yeah, that's the problem I keep having with this thing. You see how I'm like creating a spiral. When I go around, I'm not ending up in the exact same spot. So it's like I'm just spiraling up as I go, and that obviously does not create an ideal spot to tie in a connection. Man, I did it again. Look at what I'm doing here. That's why you leave yourself lots of extra. This was really hard when I was doing this laying down in the crawl space last night. Okay, something's going on here. If it was a push to connect fitting, I think it would cause us an issue, but for these crimp-ons, it shouldn't affect anything. Alright, so this is a 90-degree elbow. This thing was like 80 bucks. It is well built, you can tell, but still, don't know if it needed to be that much. It is pretty hard to use in tight spaces. I can see the appeal to the electric ones. Because like when I was doing the new cold water line for the kitchen sink and the drain is all in the way, I couldn't hardly get this in there where it needed to be. And it came with a little tool that you use to check if that's actually crimped on correctly. I need to go get that. Looks correct. Yeah. Looks good. Okay, so I need to go turn the water off. And I'm going to have to cut that live line, or the one that currently has water. Won't once I turn it off. And then splice this one to that one. And then we will have water in the bathroom. New water. And I guess I should probably pull out these old ones. I pulled all the rest of them out of the crawl space, so they're just cut off like right here. I'm just not sure if I can get them out the rest of the way, but I'd like to. Not just have abandoned lines in there. There's a bunch of abandoned stuff in there. There's like old gas lines that are all cut off and not hooked up to anything. And like, we found this big long black hose. I don't even know what it was. And bunch of abandoned water lines all over the place. You can tell these gray poly. This should have been done forever ago. The polybutylene plumbing, because it's froze and busted, or not even know if it froze, just busted in the crawl space like 10 times, and then they just abandoned that. They just cut it off somewhere, leave all the rest of it under there, ran a new one with the exact same stuff, and then it would break. And this is an upgrade this house has needed for a long time, obviously. Alright, so I just got the water turned off. Unrelated to the house or anything at all, construction related. Look what I discovered I can do yesterday. I haven't been able to do stuff like that in like, I don't know, 2 years, because I've been focused. So I've never really talked about this, but I was extremely skinny growing up, like 20 pounds underweight always. So whenever I decided to join the gym and start working out, I made my main priority focus gaining weight. So I kind of just let myself get, I don't think I ever got like obese, but I got a little bigger than I needed to be for a long time, and I did get really strong. But so the past like 2 years, I've kept myself in the upper 220s to 240 range. The heaviest I ever got was 242. But I was usually in the 230. I was pretty much always above 225 to 237 was like my really common weight range, which I was really strong at that weight, but I didn't feel good. My knees and hips hurt all the time, and I couldn't jump off of stuff or jump onto stuff like that. So this January, I kind of made it a focus to become as healthy as I can. And I'm like last time I weighed myself, I think I was 202. And my vascularity is all back, and my athleticism is back a lot. Going up and down stairs doesn't kill me like it used to. And that is like something that just a couple of months ago, I don't know, maybe I could do it, but I just never would usually attempt. But I've been coming up and down this thing so much to get to my water meter. I've been like grabbing on and trying to like carefully step into those little 3/4 ridges I left. But I finally just decided to see if I could, with some support, grab that. I haven't tried to do it with no hands at all yet. Okay, yeah. So, a little bit scary, but yeah, I can. So that's like, I mean, it's pretty tall. I don't have my tape measure on me. It's better than I thought I could do. Okay, so back into here. Oh, geez. So this should have at least very little water pressure now. I'm sure it's still gonna have some when I cut it. They always do. But I turned that off and I left the kitchen faucet on to relieve as much pressure as I can. So I don't want to pull this like tight, but I do want to not have a whole bunch of slack left in there. So I'm going to cut this like right here. You can hear some pressure. All right, it's dripping a little. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Yeah, okay, so that's split and there's not any water coming out, so obviously not too much water sitting in there. turned out a lot better. That one's like perfect. And then here's my bathroom supply. I can cut this probably like right here. It could be the bend in this PEX line that's making this cutter spiral like that, because I think it kind of uses the flatness of the pipe to keep itself straight, and I bet that bend is probably angling this to where it's like it's screwing down instead of staying straight. I enjoy this. Doing new stuff like this when it's actually going well is pretty enjoyable, actually. Okay, so that should be good. Gonna leave that exposed so that I can tell if it's leaking when I turn the water back on. And I don't know if you guys can see that fan right there, but I have had my fan in this hole ever since the next day. The next day after I posted the video about the leak, I came in here and it hadn't dried out at all down here. So I put my DeWalt fan down here and I've had it on full blast. I'm gonna put it back in here because it's not in my way anymore. Blowing in here. I will say this is drying out slower than I expected it to. It's drying up, but I didn't expect it because now that's been several days ago already and it's still a little bit damp on the dirt down there. Okay, so this should be simple enough compared to everything I just did. If I can straighten this out a little. So I think this is gonna be pretty much perfect because it's gonna put this almost right where the toilet's gonna be. Toilet will be right here somewhere, so they'll need to have a water supply right here for the toilet anyway. They can come off of this, and I guess they'll just go up and over and around to the sink. Or I kind of think they actually wanted to put it under the slab, whatever they think's best. But at least we'll have a supply that they can connect into in here now. And I need to cut this again because that end is not very good. That one turned out pretty good too. Maybe that has something to do with the direction you try. I notice this has arrows. Maybe I've been spinning it backwards and that messes it up or something. Those plumbers didn't seem too thrilled when I was telling them they may have to tie into that old stuff in the crawl space. And they looked in there and saw how tiny it is in there. Okay, so I guess that's the conclusion of the cold water throughout the house. All right, don't have my mic on, but hopefully you can hear me okay since I'm pretty close. So that is the hot water out, all this gray. This is what I haven't touched yet. So that first T goes over right there. That's the back of the washing machine. All the blue is the new stuff I ran yesterday. That is the new supply to the water heater and the supply to the laundry machine, cold. So you can see the gray is the hot. That needs to be replaced. So I need to cut that outlet where it goes through that rim joist. That's the outlet, the hot out. I need to cut that up there, pull it through the wall, and then push a new PEX line through and connect that to the water heater. And then I need to tee off, same spot where it's teed, the new PEX, and go over there and into the laundry machine. And then this close tee goes this way, and that is the kitchen sink supply. Kitchen sink hot supply. So that's what I'm about to start doing. I had to come under here and refresh my memory on how this all worked, but yeah, pretty much need to go up there, cut the hot water out, cut the laundry machine knob off, pull it all out this way, and then stab some PEX down, and hopefully that doesn't go too badly. Well, no project ever ends up being easier than you expect. I guess sometimes they do, but typically not. And this one has definitely not been easier than I expected. Yesterday wasn't that bad, but something about today, man, everywhere that I try to feed these hoses or these PEX lines through, it's just not working. Ow. I took my gloves off and now I'm scraping my hands up. Okay, that seems good. I really wasn't having any trouble until I got to this. And yes, I'm using blue PEX for the hot. I had so much of it left over, I just couldn't justify buying another entire roll of it. And they don't sell it by the stick at my local store, so we're doing blue hot water lines. I hate it. That kind of stuff bothers me, but it's just the reality of the world that we live in. I had like almost half a spool of blue left when I was done with everything that I had to do with the cold side. And I didn't want to buy an entire spool of red to have about half of that left. So I think I'll mark them with red tape or something to make myself feel better about it. And yeah, it's kind of a disaster back here. I didn't create this. This hole was already cut out in the wall behind the washer. They just had this masonite board covering it all up, which I'm kind of glad. I'm really glad, actually. This would have been much more difficult if this hole wasn't already here. And I don't know if I would have had the I don't know what you call it. I don't know if I would have had it in me to cut a big hole in the wall like this, but I'm glad they did. It's helping me out now. This hole is gonna be one of these days it'll get fixed kind of things, because I really don't know when I'll feel like correcting that. I kind of feel like I'm gonna end up not quite having enough of these rings. And I'm pretty sure the hardware store is already closed. Unfortunately, I know I said I'm not using any push to connect. They only had push to connect washer valves. So, sorry everybody that hates push to connect. But at least they're going to be right here at the surface where it'll be very obvious if they ever start leaking. And they can be easily replaced. It'd be nice to have a 90 right here too, actually. This is going to be probably not that ideal for a little while. No, I'm not. I'm going to be short. I need 2 rings here, not 1. Oh, I guess I need to find out if the hardware store is closed. Or I'm going to have no hot water tonight. I need to check on that. I kind of think it might be in like 20 minutes, so I might just need to hurry and go right now before I do anything else. Alright, I'm back. Got a new pack of crimp rings. I got there like 15 minutes before they closed, so it worked out good. Okay, so now that I have those, I'm going to add in that 90 I was talking about. I hope the elbows are in here. Yeah, I got elbows right here. Going to cut this where it's creased, or it's not creased, but it's bending, and add a 90 right there. That way I don't have to feel so guilty about it. Pretty nice. One of my nicest cuts, actually. I do not recommend this cutter. If any of you guys are considering doing a job like this, and you're buying tools for it, that thing is not worth the extra, or not worth saving the 7 or 8 or 10, however much, bucks. Get the good one. I was kind of just curious to see how well that thing was going to work, because it just looked kind of cool, but I'm not a fan. Okay, I really need to add an elbow right here, but I know that I don't have room to get my crimpers in there. See, ideally I'd like to cut it here and put in an elbow, and then attach that to that, but I know I'm not going to be able to get the crimpers in there. This is where a push to connect elbow would be really nice. I might be able to mark it, pull it over there, cut it, crimp an elbow on, and then pull it back around. Hopefully. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie. Okay, so if it could get cut right there, that would be nice. Kind of testing the strength of that little T I just added. I'm getting better at using this thing. I wish these rings were a little tighter on the pecs before you crimp them, because they just slide so freely otherwise. It's hard to get that thing to work right. Okay. Okay, now this is going to be the hard one. Jeez. Man, it's so nice. It looks so nice, but I can't move this hot water heater either. I think it's so heavy. So, should have just left my camera on, but I just decided to see if I could scoot the water heater, and I did. And I think I might have given myself just enough room. Oh, it's so close. Looks a lot more possible now, though, than it did just a minute ago. It's just a little bit more. Okay. That was probably enough. That thing is heavy. I mean, I guess it's full of water, that's why, but it is heavier than I expected. There we go. Nice. Okay, nice. Another one of the cleanest cuts. And that's one that really needs to be good because it's got a push to connect fitting, so that's where it seals, is on the end of it. Yeah, I looked for a long time in the store for a regular crimp-on washer hookup. They probably would have had it if I had looked on the other aisle. I noticed the next aisle over had a lot of regular fittings, but the aisle I was looking at was just, I guess, just all the shark bite stuff. I haven't had one of these push to connects fail yet, though, so I'm not too worried about them. All right, well, water's back on. No leaks anywhere. This thing works. So, got a faucet with a sprayer and a single handle. No leaks as far as I can tell. Walked around, looked at everything. Not seeing anything. You guys notice I finally retired the DeWalt hat. I don't know if it's gone for good, but it was pretty beat up, officially. The whole cloth all the way across the brim was ripping off, and after I laid in the mud the other day, it got all covered. It fell off in the water a couple times, got all covered brown. I washed it and didn't wash out, so I saw these hats while I was buying the pecs at Sutherland, and or Sutherland's. It just says Sutherland on the hat, and decided maybe it was time. I've had that hat for about 3 years now. Anyway, I guess that's that. It's 7. It's not too bad. And that is all of the polybutylene plumbing out of the house. So no more worrying about that. Only thing I have left to do with that is I still have to insulate all those pipes, and I have to hang them. They're all just suspended the way that they are sitting. But I have 2 bags of hangers. I'm just going to have to get under there with a little hammer and tack them all up and put pipe insulation on all of them. But I should be way better off for the winter with PEX. PEX is a lot less likely to freeze and bust. Honestly, big improvement to my life having this new faucet. I just hated that old one. Now, I just would like to add a garbage disposal. But not too bad. I just got one of these little wire mesh things. I'm just using that. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.